Now we need to move to gathering active information. In this phase, we're going to interact with the victim to get active information like open port, services, network topology, vulnerability. So you're going to get more critical information. And this will be definitely very useful while we are planning for the penetration testing. But I have to warn you first that when it comes to active information, this is actually kind of critical and you need to get an approval for doing that. So if you practice scanning and port scanning and network scanning, make sure that you get the right approval or you are doing that in your own lab. But do not start scanning different systems internally or online without getting the approval. This would get you some problems. So let's start with what exactly we are looking for when it comes to active information. First, I need to know if the system is live or not. And a simple way for doing that is using ping. And ping will allow you to test if the system is connected to the network or not, or live or not. Which is, if I type ping and I put an IP of an existing computer inside my network, 163.255, I can get a reply. And ping in Linux is different in ways that it's not just sending 4 packets and waiting for the reply. It's a continuously process. In Windows, when you do ping, it sends 4 small packets. And if the victim got a specific protocol called ICMP up and running, he have to reply back. He have to reply back with the same amount of packet and same size. So ping is a way for doing that. Except most of the system right now, if you have a computer that has Windows installed on it, by default the firewall is on and the firewall will block the ICMP. So sometimes the system is on the network, it's live, but when you are using ping, you will not be able to know if the system is live or not. That's why you're going to see in a few minutes how to use another tool. So number one, I need to know if the system that I will scan or the system that is considered my victim, it's live or not. And when I'm saying live, I mean that it's connected to the network. The second information, or the second piece of information I need to get, is the open port. Now, what is exactly is a port? When I'm talking or when I'm saying port, what do I mean by port? A port is a logical communication channel. So any service on your computer need to be or need to use a specific port. For instance, when you open your browser and type any website, so if I open my browser here and type any website, MSN, Google.com, anything. Now, this request for opening the page, so I go here and I type, for instance, www.yahoo.com. The request will go through port 80. This port 80, know how to deal with web page because it uses a specific service called HTTP. And this HTTP service know how to send a request for a page, how to receive a request for a page, and so on. So what I'm saying here that only port 80 can deal with website request and so on. While if I'm trying to download something from the internet, I need port 21. So port 21 is using a service called FTP that is dedicated for download. If I need to connect to a system through a service called Telnet, and I type, for instance, Telnet and an IP, okay, Telnet are using port 23. So my point here is that different services are working on different port. As an example, if you are working somewhere and you need to call the HR people. Definitely in your phone, you have an extension for HR department, and another extension for finance department, and a third extension for support team. You don't have one single number that allow you to reach everyone. Same concept are here, that we have different communication channel that allow us to use different services. The second question is it a physical port? I mean, can you open your computer and see where is port 80 and where is port 23 and 20? No, those are logical communication channel. It's not something physical, it's logical. Okay, third question. How many port do I have in my system? I have 65,535. So we have a huge amount of port. And those are divided to two different types, or two different categories. We have the port that is less than 1024, and those are known as the well-known port. I mean, if I scan my system and I see that port 80 are open, this is a well-known port. It should not disturb me. But if I see that I have port 6666 open, which is higher than 1024, I should investigate what is opening this port. It could be a virus, it could be someone hacking my computer. So all the ports that is above 1024, those actually need to be investigated somehow. Now, what I need to do right now is to scan my victim port. What port he got on his system running. So I'm going to use a very important tool called NMAP. NMAP, it's a very, very important tool while we are gathering active information. This will be used for different type of information. So let's start by getting the port of my victim. So I'm going to type NMAP and then minus small s and then capital S, small s, capital S. Oh, I'm sorry. NMAP minus small s, capital S, minus capital O, and the IP of my victim, which is 192.168. This is a Windows machine. 163.250. The point here is minus small s and capital S mean show me the open port and what service are using those port. So I have port 135 open. What exactly is opening that? Because according to that, I may check if this service is vulnerable and can be hacked or not. And minus capital O will show me the operating system. So let's see if I use this command, what exactly I'll be getting. So as you can see, this was fast. So I got all the open port. So I have, for instance, port 135 open, and it has an RPC. This is the Microsoft service running 139. Those actually are very, very handy, and if you find those port open, I'm going to show you how easy it is to compromise the system. 445. So it seems that a lot of service are there, and when you see a huge amount of service, that means that most probably you will be able to compromise the system, because you need to check any vulnerable service, and if the service increase, that means the probability of find the vulnerability increase. So I'm getting all the services here and all the port, all the service running on this computer. I also was able to get the MAC address of this computer, and this will help me with some layer 2 attack, and it gave me that this computer is a virtual machine, it's not a physical machine. And I was able to get the operating system. He didn't get the specific operating system, but he told me it could be Windows XP Service Pack 2 or 3 or Windows Server 2003. Also, this is very useful. At least I don't know. I know that it's not Windows 10 or it's not Windows Server 2012. Those are very valuable information, and we're gonna see later on how to utilize those information to compromise the system. And then it tells me that the network distance is one hop. I mean, this computer is directly connected to the network. It's not, there isn't any traffic routing. I mean, it's on the same network. So this is actually the information that I'm getting using NMAP. So let's see how to use NMAP in a little bit deeper way and get more information.